Well, we're back for another video. This one's an experimental one. I've decided to step up my game a little bit in the drone department, and I purchased some filters. Now, the first set of filters I have here came with the DJI Air 2S Flymore kit, and I have the 32 ND filter fitted at the moment, which I think is a 5-stop ND filter. In any case, they give you a 4, 8, a 16 and a 32. This is just the retaining ring that I put back in the box when I have the filter fitted. These are handy and all, but I purchased these the other day. Now this gives you a UV and IR filter, a circular polarizing filter, and a 4, 8, 16 and 32 ND filter, much the same. And yes, there are fingerprints all over them. I've been playing with them and experimenting. Now, the circular polarizing filter for me is the primary one I got this kit for, because I want to film over water and I want to be able to reduce the glare a bit and see through the water a bit. Not so much just for the filming, but also for reconnaissance purposes, because I'm driving an amphibious vehicle and I want to make sure I can see obstacles that might be just below the water surface. What I want to do is I want to have my ND filter and I want to have a circular polarizing filter. I'm having a hard time finding an ND filter slash circular polarizer in one lens, so I'm going to try and make one. My hope is that an ND32 combined with a circular polarizer might be a similar and appropriate combination. So my hope is to try and remove the filter element off this one and stick it to the top of this one and see how we go. Now, some people will tell you can turn these on and off by rotating this ring here. But actually, in this one, there is only a single layer of glass, not two. If we look at a LCD screen here, through this polarizing lens, and we rotate this around, you'll notice when the polarizing matches that of the screen, it goes dark. That's pretty much all you're doing, is just changing the polarizing direction. And that kind of happens when you're flying a drone around as well. When you change angle, your polarizing angle changes as well, so it makes it a little difficult. But if I'm flying over water and I can just swing the drone around to a different angle till the polarizing looks about right. So I did mark the upright position on this ring, although it's hard to see now. But either way, this one I think I'll use as the backing because this ring rotates nicely. And I think I'm going to start with the ND4. It's going to be my least used filter. And I'm going to practice with this, see various different ways of getting that lens off. Alright, so I have here a lid off a Skittles bucket. I had to practice, these are generally fairly acetone resistant. I'm going to try some isopropyl alcohol first, see if that might soften the glue that these things are held on with. See if I can just push it out just gently with a bit of alcohol on it. Thought this might be the least aggressive option first, but I'm not seeing much option. I don't want to break this, so I don't think the alcohol is doing much, to be honest. Now, it is very likely that I'm going to take the coating off the ND filter here with acetone. It's pretty aggressive stuff. It's basically nail polish remover. But I have been proven wrong previously. I'm going to let this sit for a little bit. And generally, if acetone works, the effects are nearly immediate. We don't appear to have dissolved the coating off the lens, which is nice. I know they're a fairly robust lens. But, oh, hello. Aha. Acetone for the win. Got a little circular glue ring there, but I've got my lens off. Can I take the circular glue ring off, because that might prove handy. I don't think I'm going to be able to reuse that, to be honest. Now, more or less what I was hoping to do is be able to find a way to pretty much stick that on the top of that ring. And that still allows me the ability to twist that twist ring round and change the direction of my polarizer, but also have the ND on top of it. And hopefully that won't mess the focus up. But, you know, it could be interesting. And the polarizer being behind that will hopefully stop the double reflection you tend to get. Alright, so I'm going through my glue options here. I have low melt hot glue, I have cellophane tape, I have some stickers that came with it that I think might be handy. I have Loctite, which is the civilian version of Loctite 406. I used to use that in hearing aids quite a lot. And I have some 2-part epoxy, 5-minute set stuff. Now, advantage of the epoxy, tends not to vapor too much. Drawbacks is it takes a long time and it's very hard to handle, and it tends to create a thick layer. Super glue, while it would work really well, one of the things you learn in forensics is that super glue sticks to body oils exceptionally well. So if there's even the slightest bit of a fingerprint or oil or anything in here, it's going to bond to that between the layers. You're going to get a hazy effect that you'll never ever get off. You'll have to throw the lenses away. So super glue, not happening. The tape actually would be my preferred option if I could find a way to make it double-sided. I don't think I can. The other thought is maybe if I can lift the ND32 off with the glue ring attached, I can drop that straight back down on there with the original glue ring on it. I will have to clean this properly before I do that. That would be ideal, to have it just self-adhesive on with its original glue ring. Maybe if I let the acetone sit a little bit longer, that might be possible. So yeah, it's some interesting options. I don't know where I'm going to go, although I'm looking favorably upon the epoxy at the moment. Alright, so I've decided to just go all out, and either way we go, we need to get this ND32 off. Because that's the one I want to work with. So I think I'm going to leave the acetone on here for just a tiny bit longer than I did with the previous one. Hopefully we can get that glue ring off with it. So I'll just let this sit for a bit and a little bit underneath, and just let it basically work its way in there. Hopefully we can push this out. A little bit of pressure in here. Can we start to pop that out? I'm hoping this one comes out as easy as the other one did. We might need a bit more acetone in there. This one may be glued on a little stronger than the previous one. If I can get this off with a glue ring, we'll just go all out and try and get it to go straight back on the other one. There we go, now we're starting to come out. So we'll let that acetone just seep in there a little bit more. We'll push out around the edges. So yeah, the glue ring stayed behind, which is unfortunate. Now, a little secret trick, I wasn't sure whether I was going to share or not, but I use this stuff. It's basically just a multi-purpose spray cleaner from Aldi. It's basically a spraying wipe. That works a whole lot better at getting oils and stuff off these lenses than alcohol or Windex or anything else I've ever tried. And it doesn't seem to leave too much of a residue, which means gluing these things is a lot easier. Let's see if I can put that over the lens and you can look through the ND filter. That's interesting stuff. The ND for neutral density, by the way. This is our circular polarizing lens, which won't do much inside under LED lighting, but interesting stuff. Alright, so I've decided to experiment. This is the ND4, and this is the original ND4 filter out of it. I'm thinking I'm going to experiment with the super glue and see how it goes back in. Okay, so I've eventually decided I'm going to experiment with the super glue. I've got a piece of old retail packaging here, and I'm going to put a blob in here, and I have a broken sewing machine needle with a bit of tape on it. That will help me to touch this in here. This is a method I used to use when I fixed hearing aids for applying glue to really tiny parts. Now I have my extraction fan running in the background here. We're going to do probably 6 really tiny drops of this stuff just deposited on the rim, and we'll plonk that there. Then we'll drop this one on, and we'll see how that works. That will probably go okay. Now what I'm going to do here is stick this side down with the blue tack, flip this side over and let the air go through it. What we're looking for is on here to see if my fingerprints pick up super glue vapor. Because if they do, there's no way in hell I'll ever clean that off again. Alright, so I've decided that probably the least recommended option is going to be super glue, so that's naturally the one I'm going to go with. So we are just going to put tiny little drops of super glue around the edge here of the glass, and just hope that the drone has a nice stabilized gimbal, so we just hope that it keeps it steady enough that this doesn't shake around, and that this tiny amount of glue is all that we need to do the job. I think I've got this clean enough. I think I do, sort of. There's a little bit of glue on the edge, but let's move my other needle out of the way. See if I can just drop this on exactly as best I can. Okay. I'll sit you on the top there. We'll let this sit for some time. Hopefully it stays on solidly, and hopefully there isn't any mist in the middle. I'm going to be swearing if it is. Alright, this is our lens, and I don't see any fog inside. Let's have a look through the lens here. Whoa, it is very reflective now, I guess. But let's rotate this. Should be able to see through it relatively well till I twist around till about that direction, which is what you'd expect of the polarizer, and we have the darkening of the ND filter. And I honestly don't see any fog in the middle. There might be the tiniest little bit off to one side in the bottom corner here. Maybe. I don't know. Let's zoom in so you guys can have a closer look. Might see just that tiny little bit near my thumb right there. But other than that, it works pretty well. We can see some little squishes of the glue off to the side there now. Just a tiny little bit. I think that might be out of the field of view of the camera. I really hope. So I'll take it up and take it for a fly, and we'll see what results we get. Although it's currently like, nearly midnight now, so it'll be sometime tomorrow that it goes for a fly. In case, hope it was interesting for you. Enjoy the footage.
The next morning.
Well, I've got to explain something. I just had a visit from the military police, and they said, were you just flying a drone? I'm literally holding the drone in my hand going, well, yeah, I was. And he goes, well, you're not supposed to be flying here. I'm going, yeah, it's a Sunday, the airspace is not active. And he turned around and went, well, actually, it's a Monday. And I went, oh, crap. That would be why my ADS-B warning went off on the drone, and I had to make an emergency landing. So yeah, I'm in trouble for that. I'm going to get an official warning from CASA under the strict proviso that I don't do it again, and that I know the local MP, as in the local military police officer, not the member of parliament, although I know him too. Anyway, that being said, drone footage to show you how this filter worked could be a bit of a challenge. Yeah, I'm going to leave my drone sit for a couple of days until I get that letter and I find out what I'm in trouble for. But typically here, the airspace is not controlled during the weekend, which means I'm allowed to fly my drone, and in this particular spot till about 60 meters. I was only up about 30 meters. I also got a little bit distracted because there was a shed fire that broke out at the same time I was in the air. And I'm not being sarcastic there. It was literally a coincidence. And I got a little bit distracted by that and trying to identify the address so that I could call it in to the authorities. Whilst I was trying to figure out the address, the fire brigade showed up. So it was time to land. As I'm heading back to land, the ADS-B receiver on my drone went off and said, there's an aircraft incoming and it's right in line with you. So I dumped the thing on its guts right down to about 20 meters, as low as it would go till the proximity warning went off and told me that there's something in the way, which was a tree. And that aircraft went right over the top of me, and it was a military aircraft. So, yeah, I could get an official warning. I could get an $11,000 fine. I don't know at this point, but this filter is going to cost me a bit, I think. Anyway. We are going to have to learn to read NOTAMs more carefully, and I need to learn to check the damn date before I go out and push the go button on the thing. Something interesting though, they did know my name and the registration number of the drone, so apparently it is beaconing some identification information, which is kind of nice if they know exactly where it is and who's flying it. Makes it fairly easy to avoid. But yeah, so we're going to put it down. Going to leave it grounded for a while till I find out what the outcome of this is, so I don't risk complicating my matters any further. I will see if I've got a little bit of footage from there. In fact, I'm going to look right now and see if I've got anything.
A few moments later.
Alright, I might have a few seconds of footage that might illustrate how well that polarizer worked. But it does look a little dodgy because it was flying downstream in a column of smoke. Although the image does look pretty good, all things considered. I'll tack that on the end of this. But yeah, guys, just if you're going to put a drone up, make sure you know the rules in your particular area and jurisdiction. And make sure you know what date and time it is and what the NOTAM says. So thanks, guys. And don't make the same mistakes I do. Anyway, carry on.